In this explainer, we're going to break down a fundamental architectural shift in leadership development. We're talking about the move away from traditional knowledge transfer models and toward a new model of behavioral reinforcement, all powered by something called leadership execution systems.
All right, here's our roadmap. We'll walk through 6 key areas. We're going to start by looking at why the current models just don't work at scale, and we'll end with the major implications of this new systemic approach to leadership.
So, first things first, we have to talk about the core problem, the fundamental architectural failure of most leadership training today, and it all comes down to its reliance on a model of simple knowledge transfer. Now check out this number from Harvard Business Review because it really tells the story. Only 12% of the skills that leaders learn in training programs are ever consistently applied during their daily work. That's not a small gap. That's a huge sign that the architecture itself is flawed.
So you have to wonder, where does all that knowledge actually go? Well, research from McKinsey gives us the answer, and it's pretty staggering. Roughly 87% of that training knowledge is lost within just 1 month. And the main culprit is a total lack of reinforcement back on the job.
Now, this isn't just a hunch. There's a well-known cognitive principle that explains this perfectly. It's called the forgetting curve. It's a scientifically validated model that shows without a doubt that if you don't reinforce new information in a spaced, contextual way, your brain just lets it go. Retention drops off a cliff within days.
And the real-world result of all this forgetting, the operational consequence, is a phenomenon we call execution drift. This is that slow, gradual, and often unconscious slide away from company standards during daily operations. It creates this invisible but very real gap between the strategy you want and the execution you get.
This chart gives you a great visual of what we mean by execution drift. That top straight dotted line, that represents the organizational standard, the way things are supposed to be done. But the wavy line on the bottom shows what actually happens over time. Leadership behavior slowly deviates, creating that performance and consistency gap you see between the two lines.
Okay, so now that we've laid out the problem, what's the alternative? This leads us to a completely different model, one that's focused on behavioral reinforcement, not just knowledge transfer.
This table really puts the two models side by side. In the left column, you have the traditional knowledge transfer model. Its goal is information recall. It happens in one-off events like workshops, and success is just about whether you completed the course. But look at the right column, the behavioral reinforcement model. The focus here is on habit formation. It happens continuously, right inside the daily workflow. And success is measured by something totally different, behavioral consistency.
So let's be really clear about what this means. Behavioral reinforcement isn't another training event. It's a systemic process. It's designed to build habits by providing continuous, contextual support exactly when and where the work is happening.
All right, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. What does an architecture actually designed for consistency look like? What are its core components?
The solution is built around an architecture known as a leadership execution system, or LES for short. You can think of it as an operational system that literally embeds your company's standards and reinforcement tools directly into a leader's daily tasks. It turns alignment from a one-time thing into a continuous, always-on function.
So what does a system like this actually do? Well, it's engineered to build very specific competencies, things like maintaining a daily execution rhythm, actively preventing and even detecting that drift we talked about, mastering reinforcement, ensuring cultural alignment, actually using real-time guidance, and, crucially, giving you visibility into leadership execution itself.
So how does this reinforcement actually get delivered in a leader's day-to-day work? This is all about providing reinforcement right at the point of execution. It really unfolds in a continuous 3-step loop. First, the system delivers real-time prompts to a supervisor at the exact moment of need. Second, that reinforcement, whether it's guidance, a nudge, or feedback, is delivered right in the flow of their work. And third, these interactions create what are called daily execution loops, which become continuous opportunities for practice, feedback, and more reinforcement.
And this quote really gets to the heart of the matter. The failure of traditional training isn't about the quality of the slides or the instructor. It fails because of a complete lack of continuity in the actual operational environment where the work gets done.
Now, a really critical function of an execution system is that it moves beyond just generic best practices. It's about systematically aligning every leader's behavior with your organization's specific, unique culture. And this alignment is achieved through a really powerful mechanism called culture-calibrated AI.
Now, it's important to understand this isn't some generic, off-the-shelf AI. It's a model that is intentionally and specifically trained on your company's unique culture, values, and behavioral standards. This is what ensures that all the guidance a leader gets is perfectly aligned, not generic.
So, what this means in practice is that the system makes your specific cultural standards the default setting. By embedding them into every decision point and interaction, it ensures that your company's specific expectations are what guide every single leadership moment.
Okay, so let's pull back for a moment and look at the big picture. What are the broader organizational implications of making this architectural shift from training programs to execution systems?
The bottom line is this. It represents a truly strategic shift in investment. You're moving away from buying temporary, episodic training programs, and you're moving toward building a permanent, scalable infrastructure for leadership execution itself.
The underlying research for this analysis is recorded in the following publications:
DOI 10.5281/Zenodo.17394116, DOI 10.5281/Zenodo.17425566, ORCID 0009-0004-6525-5634.
Published by the Leadership Execution Institute.